Thomas here with Much Props. Going to give you another how-to video. I made an Iron Man Knights Templar build a while back and asked you guys if you'd be interested in seeing a full cosplay build, and resoundingly a majority of you were like, yeah, do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got a couple of things ordered, like a tunic and a cape and some pants and shoes and a couple of other things. But I can go ahead and start building some of the armor parts. So I'm going to work from the head down. So the next thing I'm going to build are the Pauldrons. Now, I don't know how I'm going to attach them to the other parts just yet. So there will be some strapping probably that I have to do in another video. Maybe I'll do it with the weathering of the clothes or something so that I can show you some attachment techniques. But that's the game plan. So today we are building Pauldrons for my Knights Templar Iron Man cosplay. Let's get to building. I gotta get better at that. I freehanded the basic shape of these Pauldrons onto some poster board and kind of just made it up by looking at Iron Man armors and Templar armors. Tried to play a balance between the old and the new. I kept the helmet close so that I could use it as a reference to try and match some of the elements from the helmet to the Pauldrons. I'm using some 6mm What the Foam from Cosplay Apprentice to sturdy up my armor pieces. It's super dense foam and will be the main support structure for most of my armor. To shape my Pauldrons, I hit the base parts with a heat gun. Because it's a bit more rigid, I have to heat the What the Foam a little longer, but it will hold its shape much better than normal EVA. It's kind of like Warbler and EVA had a baby. I heat it up and push it over a round object, or just shape it with my hand. Assembly is pretty straightforward. Add contact cement to the edges and let it set for a few minutes, then just line up the registration marks on the edges. The bicep plates are pretty simple also. I just have to add a little curve to them with heat. If you download the template, you'll notice that there are some extra lines on this part. After bending the first row that will attach to the shoulder piece, I realized the second row needs to be a little bit smaller, so I had to make some adjustments. It's a prime example of me figuring things out here on this video recording and then going back and fixing the issue to adjust the template so that you don't have to spend that time banging your head against the table. I glue in this small recess into the sides with some 4mm width of foam. Added it just to kind of give an interest to this flat portion of the pauldron and make it a little more unique. To mimic the scale mail detail from the helmet, I'm going to add this trim work for the scales to sit in. I lay down some contact cement on all my parts and roughly cut it out. Once I have everything stuck on, I trim parts up and make them flush with the edges. Once again, here is Eadie and Chan's super cool scale mail. 2 sets of chains, one with loops lining up in the middle of the scale and the other lining up in between the scales. This variation allows you to alter the seam lines of your scale mail. You could also use one set to have the scale line up with each other. It's super easy to put together. You just push the loops through each other. I'll be making some sleeves for this build to use them for more of a structure instead of as a detail like I have so far. I can't say enough about how I love what Foam Armory is putting out there for makers. Support their creativity and buy some of their awesome foam cutouts. You may notice some extra parts just appearing on the pauldrons. It's just detail panels that I've added to it to make it stand out a little more. To tie the design back to my helmet, I'm going to add some rivets. For small holes, I take the round disc off the cutting wheel of a Dremel attachment and then plunge that into the foam to make the faux rivet. To seal the foam, I hit it with 2 coats of Plasti Dip. Then I mask off the center strip and spray paint it red to match my helmet paint scheme. For the silver metal, I'm going to use Rub and Buff, which I just apply with an old chip brush. I hit it in all directions to spread the paint out randomly and kind of give a more rough, worn metal look to it. For the trim and detail panels, I'm using some Plaid Effects gold acrylic paint. It takes 2 coats to get a solid coverage. I'm also going to hit the tops of the scales with a little bit of the red paint you see here on my plate, and the recesses get a little bit of black on them. Once the paint dries, I hit it all with a spray of clear coat to prepare the surface for the weathering in the next step. To weather it the same way that I did the helmet, if you haven't seen that video, definitely go back and check it out once you get done with this one. I bust back out some brown and black shoe polish. You rub it on and wipe it off. I usually do quick applications and slowly build up the layers gradually. That way I have a little bit more control. If you let it sit for too long, it's a little harder to get off the surface and vary your gradient. To articulate the plates and give me a little flexibility while I'm wearing the pauldrons, I'm going to attach the plates with elastic. I sandwich the elastic banding between the builds and a thin sheet of EVA with super glue. I don't yet know how I'm going to attach it to the rest of the costume, so I'm just going to leave that open for now and cover that in another video. And we are finished. Here is the end result. You can tell the left from the right because the way that the little stripes face on the front. I love the way that the detail turned out. Once again, thank you to Ben Eadie and Stephanie Chan for giving me some of this scale mail to test out. I'm definitely going to put it through its paces along with the chainmail on this cosplay build. I'm probably going to use quite a bit of it. So if you haven't already heard, or if it's in the future and it's already done, Ben Eadie and Stephanie Chan of Foam Armory are doing a Kickstarter for this chainmail. They've already reached their goal, but they've put out some goal extensions that you can still go in and support them with. Definitely go check out their stuff. I'll put links down below in the description. Support them. They're making some awesome stuff and giving me the ability to make some awesome things for you guys to see. So maybe you will try and make some pauldrons yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to make something that probably is a bit ridiculous. I realize that. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. So, it just kind of goes on there like that. Nice. Here, you put this one on. Thanks to my Patreon members for continuing to support my channel and allow me to do awesome stuff here on YouTube. If you want to join these awesome people, please consider clicking on the links below and joining me to build a more creative, larger community.